today. But what you may not know is just how important a role this area played more than 50 years ago during World War II. Here's Doug Dunbar.
I would imagine very, very few people that live here today realize how close the war actually came to where we live.
So close, in fact, that on this very stretch of Surfside beach, those who bask in the sun today do so on the same stretch of sand that was once a prime military firing range.
Along this beach, you'd see the targets set up for rifles and machine guns, and this is where the rifle and machine gun practice took place.
Being a clearinghouse of sorts and a hub for troops and supplies, South Florida was also a target, and lurking above and below the same waters where we swim today were German U-boats and submarines.
The residents that lived in the area would be able to come as close as they were allowed to get to the beach, and they'd be able to see ships burning at night that were hit by the German subs.
They sank 42 off the coast of Florida. 42 ships of all kinds, freighters. The enemy was very busy.
And so were those fronting the war effort from South Florida. What we now know as Bayside Marketplace was once home to a sub-chasing school. Soldiers learned to track and destroy the enemy offshore. The elegant Venetian pool is where Navy cadets were taught to swim. Bayfront Park was once home base for a big squadron of PT boats, and much of their success was due in part to students from Edison High School.
The high school students that were part of the war effort. They would get out of school at noon and go down to the river and work on PT boats, swinging hammers.
This is Building 25 at Naval Air Station Richmond in southwest Miami-Dade. It's the last original structure on what once was a pretty important blimp base. From here, the blimps would launch. They'd head straight for the coast. There, their goal twofold. First, to protect our shipping interests, and secondly, to run surveillance on the enemy. The blimp hangars that were built west of Metro Zoo were almost completely destroyed in a 1945 hurricane and ensuing fire. An administration building is all that survived and still stands today, as does the Key Biscayne Lighthouse, which during the war was used as a military listening post, intercepting radio communications from the Germans offshore, who were also being watched from the air.
All the way up and down the coast of Florida, there were naval air stations and Army Air Corps stations.
One of the largest, Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale, known best as the departure point for the Lost Patrol. December 5th, 1945, 5 airmen set out on a routine patrol and were never seen again. This training base saw some 5,000 pilots and crew, many of whom fought battles half a world away. Pictures will continue to tell the story of just how important our modern-day oasis was during the Second World War. But the sad reality is that the voices are quickly being silenced.
We're losing so many of the veterans from that era that daily we lose more and more that are passing away. And it's up to us to make sure that what they did and what they were a part of doesn't pass away with them. We have that obligation to carry that on.
And in just 12 days, you'll see the Air and Sea show right here, live on Channel 10. Tune in for our extensive, exclusive coverage.